what are we in the mood for today? You know what? Let's get some Tier 10. I'm looking for a light fighter. Something that can get up reasonably high. Let's see. Sorry, Yak. It's not going to be you. But I do want some decent maneuverability. Oh, you know what? Yes. Let's hop into this bad boy. Hey there, Postal here. Today we're looking at ye old Ki-162 Mark III. I'm assuming that's what the 3 there is for, and I'm going to call it that, so sorry if that's not the way to do it. What is this particular plane? Well, it is the end plane on the Ki line. So this is the Army version of the light fighters that you see in the Japanese tech tree. All the Kis. The more historically famous are the Zeros, which are the Navy version of light fighters, but these are what the Army used. So what is this line? Well, it's a pretty well-liked line, and the reason being is because in general they're relatively good altitude performance, pretty darn good maneuverability, definitely on the top half of maneuverability, and they have significantly good guns. At Tier 8 and above, you've got some 30s. What's kind of funny about the 30s is on Tier 8, you actually have 2 30s and 2 20s, and then you lose those 2 20s and you just have the 2 30s. Now they're a little stronger, they're 240 damage per second each, but it's still not as strong as the 2 30s that you get on the Swift. Swift has 2 30s, but these are Aidens, and they're pumping out 330 damage per second rather than the 240 damage per second. But why would you want to pick a Ki-162 at Tier 10 instead of some of the other planes that are out there? Well, the Ki-162 Mark III it's a jack-of-all-trades plane, and I know we tend to think of the multi-roles of the jack-of-all-trades, and yeah, that's true if we're looking to do ground damage, but as far as a light fighter is concerned, you can make this plane do it all. Now, you'll notice in today's gameplay, and if you've ever played this particular line, I'm sure you've noticed, the guns can be frustrating. Honestly, any plane that only has 2 guns, getting those guns to actually hit can sometimes be frustrating. If you're overheating, and whether you're on a Swift or a Ki, or the Yak-15, for instance, sometimes getting those guns to connect is a little difficult. So you're going to notice as I go through the service that I've got it set up for accuracy. The next thing I've got it set up for is maneuverability, and we're going to go into that and the reason why for that in just a second. But this isn't the best at anything, for better or for worse, but it's really good at everything. The guns are going to show up as weak as far as the number is concerned, but in reality they're 30s, and so when they hit, they typically knocking out wings and engines and pilots and all kinds of fun stuff like that. So there's a perk to that. Survivability we're going to ignore because you're in a light fighter and it doesn't matter your survivability. It's never going to be great enough to survive getting too many hits from the heavies that are out there in some of the multi-rolls. What we do have is a decent chunk of speed, and there better be for having those 2 god-awful ugly jets on top of your plane, right? This plane would be pretty cool looking plane if it wasn't for the fact that it had these 2 more jets on top. So, but you've at least got some decent airspeed, and that airspeed's definitely a perk of this particular plane and can help you get up to decent altitude when needed. The maneuverability is really the saving grace of this plane. It's the one thing that's pretty significant over most other planes out there. In fact, the only other plane that can outmaneuver this plane would be a Yak-30. Up high, a Sabre can outmaneuver you, but for the most part, if you're in the mid-ranges, you can outmaneuver a Sabre even. So keep that in mind. You definitely want to make sure you're aware of your surroundings. Altitude performance rating is pretty darn low. If you're looking at any of these other planes, you're going to notice a significant difference. The Yak-30 is going to be the only one that's below it. But the MEs, the Swifts, the The MiG, obviously, of course. I would have to check on the LA. I'm going down that line as well, but the LA-15 is basically at the same altitude. So there's only a couple light fighters at Tier 10 that have this kind of altitude performance. But what's really great about this plane is, if you're going against a Yak, you're able to, because you've got a slightly higher altitude performance, and you actually don't lose as much maneuverability when you do get into the yellow as a Yak would, you can pull a Yak up and actually outmaneuver them and defeat them. I've actually done it with my Tier 9 plane, defeating a Tier 10 because they got out of their comfort zone, so to speak. With the other planes, like a Sabre, an ME, a Swift, something like that, yeah, you want to kind of pull them down. So your altitude, you're going to be hanging right around 6,000, 7,000 feet. The reason being is you can jump up higher if you need to, or jump down lower if you need to, and take advantage of the situation. That's what I mean by a jack of all trades. Now, that being said, this plane keeps you busy. And what do I mean by that? Well, being a jack of all trades means you're not the master of any metric out there. Every plane out there has some sort of something that is going to be better than you. It's just knowing what those planes are, identifying that, and using your strengths against them. So you're going to see in our gameplay today, there's an XF90 that I had to duel a couple times. I have to keep my eyes on the map at all times because the XF90, like any light plane, a heavy Tier 10 is going to knock you pretty hard, right? And so using my maneuverability, being able to outmaneuver his shots before he even got the chance to do that, is what's going to save me and what's going to save you when you're in this particular plane. But this plane hits hard, and it can do everything you want it to do as long as you know what you want it to do is, and you can counteract whatever you're going against. So with the equipment with this particular plane, I'm doing everything I can to buff the two things that I think are most important for it, and that is the accuracy of the guns. So you'll notice I've got the gyroscopic sight, and I've also taken Marksman 1 and 2 with my particular pilot. You've only got 2 guns, so you need to make sure they hit. You're kind of useless if you're only hitting with even half a gun. You want to make sure both are hitting half a gun. If you're only hitting with one of your 2 guns, is what I mean. So it's really important that you have that accuracy. Next, I'm working on my maneuverability, both the the lightweight wing frame and the improved lightweight power unit. Both of these actually hurt the aircraft hit points and even resistance to damage, but the trade-off, I fiddled around with this plane a little bit, but the trade-off I think is worth it. If I'm avoiding being hit in the first place, it doesn't matter what my hit points are, it doesn't matter what my critical damage take is, it just doesn't matter, right? So I've done everything I can to help the maneuverability, and it's really, really helped. You're going to notice in this game that I was hit once, well, a few times, but the things that were hit weren't detrimental to me. And the last pilot skill I've got going on is Aerodynamics Expert, which gives a 40% boost to my maneuverability. And so, I that's even important as well. And to my consumables, it's a little bit different than I've got on my other Tier 9 and Tier 10 planes. I still have the first aid kit. I have, in this particular instance, the emergency control system. I think I might use the increased fire resistance once I specialize this particular plane. It doesn't catch on fire much, but there's not really a need, in my opinion, for the pneumatic control assist because I've got this plane set up for maneuverability so well already. Last but not least, the reason I'm using the manual engine restart is typically I would use engine cooling. Or even improved mixture control, I've got that on some. But this plane needs the manual engine restart. I first set this plane up to protect the engines. Every equipment I put on there, anything I set up for the pilot was to protect the engines. And it failed miserably. It didn't matter what I did, the engines would still be knocked out. And it was really frustrating because you can't use your engine cooling if your engine's knocked out. And so rather than spending all that energy on something that wasn't working anyway, I delved right into maneuverability and restart. I think my engine goes out twice in this particular match, which is about average, but I was able to at least restart it. And that's really important with this and with the Ki-162 Mark I at Tier 9. these two planes I've got set like this for that reason. I really wanted to not have to use that restart, but you got to do what you got to do. So that's why I have this plane set up the way I do. Maneuverability is going to be your bread and butter. You are quite literally going to live and die based on your maneuverability and your gun's ability to hit. There's plenty of times when I'm just not doing much with my guns, but just outmaneuvering the situation, keeping myself alive until I can actually fire my guns, until I've got the time to aim for somebody. And that wouldn't happen if you're setting up the plane any other way. I'm normally pretty flexible with, I'll give a review and say this is how I've got it set up, but you might need to adjust it for your own playstyle. This particular plane I messed around with quite a bit, and I really feel this is going to be the best setup for almost anybody out there, really. You do not want to get hit with this plane. You want to make sure you can do some damage. So hopefully that kind of explained a little bit of, well, a lot of why I've set the plane up the way I did. And of course I got universal ammunition because you should always have universal ammunition. Just going to say that every review. Let's go ahead and hop into the battle now and take a look at our gameplay.
Get ready for battle. Good luck.
Alright, so here we go. Got ourselves the Ki-162 Mark III. I don't even know if that's the Mark III is the proper way to say this plane, but that's how I'm going to say it. So, being Tier 10 match, obviously, I definitely want to, and being a light fighter, I want to, push my weight around. As far as other light fighters are concerned, I've really only got the Saber to worry about. I suppose it matters how high up I am. A MiG can certainly take me out if I'm not paying attention, and you may see that happen, but hopefully I'm paying enough attention like I should be. I want to get this garrison. I want to start getting points coming our way. The only reason I'm doing this is because I feel pretty darn confident in my ability to take the center and hold the center. If I was in a battle where I didn't feel I could do that, then I might go directly to the center to begin with, so that way I can start working on it right away. But in this kind of situation, I feel the best move would be to get this garrison, and work our way back to the center now that they've got a garrison and I've got this garrison. Got a bomber up ahead of us. Ju-287. I'm not going to worry about him. I'm going to let him do his thing, mainly because the rear guns on that will tear a Japanese light fighter such as this up. So we've got some multi-rolls coming in here. I can easily outmaneuver both of them. I do need to watch out for the rockets though, of course. I'm going to be wary of overheating my guns. So let's try to get rid of one of these guys relatively quickly, so that way we can... Oh, he got outside of the frickin' zone. What a bum. What a bum I am. Let's see if I can get this F-84F very quickly before they get the center. Shame on me for getting distracted and going outside the sector. We'll get him before they actually get the center. Good, got that. So now I feel pretty confident in what we'll be able to do as far as actually getting the center. We're already scouted into the blue a little bit. So very often, normally in these kind of situations, I would be, using my cooling to try to get up higher very, very quickly. But I don't have that. I've got to watch out for my engines in this particular plane. And because of that, it can, kind of damper my capabilities to get up high super duper quick. But you'll notice, obviously the engine power, I'm not going up there. The engine power on this particular plane is significant enough, even without the extra cooling boost, to get up and do what I need to do. Let's go ahead and watch out for that guy. He's going to be suspended in mid-air. So we do have that XF-90. I definitely need to be wary of that XF-90. A couple hits from him and I'm toast, right? Now we've got the Saber, which is probably the biggest threat as far as dogfighting is concerned to my particular plane. And especially because it can be a distraction from me while I'm trying to take over the center here. it can allow that guy to hit me, and he's just gonna do a hit and run, which is probably what he should be doing. Which is obviously what he should be doing. I can't do anything to him if he's just using his boost. So obviously Javier there knows what he's doing when it comes to the XF90, the heavy fighter gameplay in general. I need to keep my eyes peeled for him on the map at all times. XF90 is a tricky plane. He's coming straight at me, isn't he? So let's go ahead and... oh, he's not. So that's good. He's distracted. This is when I need to be on the offensive against him. If I could hit him, that would be super swell. Oh well. So can't hit him. He knows I know that he knows that I know. And this is really going to be one of those kind of duels throughout the game, I suspect, where he's going to be coming in, getting pot shots at me, but that's all he needs to do is get pot shots. If he's even going to attack me at all. It might be in his best interest to take over the garrisons at all times, right? Keeping an eye on the planes that are coming in. And we'll continue to see what we can do here. Unfortunately, got my engine taken out before the extra, the cooldown came off. The cooldown's back now. Spending too much time going after him, and I'm not really doing a very good job of defending. So let's get defense here on the center. Trying to get these guys before my guns overheat. Need to let them cool off a little bit. The Akamatsu already, well that's all well and good. Gotta hit the boost. So I try to save my boost for critical moments since I don't have the engine cooling. Clearly I need to make sure that I'm not using my boost all the time. I will use it if I feel the need to get all the way up somewhere very quickly. If I'm just in like a one-on-one, or if I trust that I can, my abilities to keep me relatively safe. Get back to the center here. Would like to kill this guy. There we go. Alright. Let's head over to the center again. Tempted. Nope, never mind. I was going to say I'm tempted to go to the garrison behind me and try to flip it, but we've got 4 of this sector, so I really don't need to stress out about that. Get all my health back, so that way I can take a friggin' punch in the face from the XF90 as needed. Hopefully I don't take a punch in the face from the 215, or for that matter, from this battery. So these got rockets, and we all know those rockets can hurt, unless I'm trying to fire them at you, and then I'm probably going to miss. So, alright, so just did a quick little maneuver there just to keep him occupied, acting like I'm not doing anything, and we're going to go back. Fired his rockets, and ooh, we've got everybody and their brother over here, huh? Bunch of batwings, too. So we're going to go ahead and see who we can get guns on here. Literally everybody and their brothers come over here. Whoopsie. Might be in some more trouble than I actually want to be in. Not that I want to be in too much trouble at all, ever. These 30s on. There we go. Flip back around here. Who's next? Let's go ahead and come on, 215. I want you 215. But right now I want you dead. One day I'll have 215, I'm sure of it. In the meantime, let's keep these guns on target. Excellent. Got a Guardian. Keep on keeping on here. I do see the XF90, or I'm assuming it's the XF90. I don't have time to actually look. But when in doubt, assume it's the plane that's going to kill you, right? It's always better to be safe than sorry, especially after the squall line. Let's get back down in here. I don't see the XF90 around here, so we're going to keep on keeping on. Not even really paying attention to the points at this point. I took a quick glance and I noticed that we're doing okay, so I'm just going to keep on fighting. You know, we're after the squall line, so at this point, you know, all these kills are permanent, and I want to make sure that I'm taking, oh, well, no, that's fine. I taking out the planes that I can take out. I don't see anybody coming over here, so I'm using all my boosts to try to get up this MiG-9. Hopefully. Hope I don't get punched in the face with a 37. Got him. Alright. Coming over here. Do we really need to? Sure, why not? I'm already over here, so I might as well continue on over here. Get a Hornet. And you see, I've got to keep fluctuating on my actual guns here. Sounds to me like the last plane is that heavy that's over there. Let me take care of this guy first, if I can hit my shots. Almost got rammed by somebody. Where are my bullets going? Holy cow, I'm gonna spend 15 minutes trying to shoot down one Hornet. It is the XF-90. That guy is at a grade 1 as well. Wow, good game to him. Oh man, I was trying to get an ace out of this, but this game really shows you the potential of the Ki-162 grade 3. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to do as much damage at the end there that I wanted to, and there was a couple of times that was kind of spinning around in circles, but every once in a while you need to spin around in circles in a plane like this. It's much more important to be avoiding the hits than it is to be getting yourself hurt too quickly. Let's head back. Alright, so we've got 17,000 personal points, a decent amount of silver. Got ourselves a Marseille, an Akamatsu, a bunch of goodies, grade 1 of course, and one off, dang it, of getting an ace, which seems to be my ammo. I think I'm going to change my name to 19 Frags Monkey. Hopefully this shows you the potential of this particular plane. And really honestly, hopefully it showed you what you need to do versus a heavy plane. You have to keep your eyes peeled for those planes. This, like almost all the Japanese planes, can't take a hit. And so that's again why I have That's why I've got it set up to avoid taking hits more than anything else in the battle. Because you don't want to. I ran out of, got my engine knocked out twice there within 90 seconds, and so I didn't have the engine restart available right away. And typically I'd say on average I lose my engine twice a battle, so that's kind of standard for this. Yeah, so I enjoy this plane, but it is not my favorite plane at Tier 10, but it is a fun plane to just kind of hop into and kick some butt in, and it's good at that as long as you've got trigger discipline. You definitely don't want to overheat the guns, because nothing's more frustrating. You saw there at the end where I kept overheating the guns. Nothing's more frustrating than that. But as long as you've got your head on a swivel, and you really do need your head on a swivel in this plane, you can make it work, and make it work very, very well. That XF-90 did get one good hit into me, but I feel like I had the ability to keep an eye on him, and he wasn't going to be taking care of me, so I was able to kind of take care of the situation and own the center. Alright, so hopefully that review of the Ki-162 Mark III was helpful to you. Do you already have this particular plane, or are you working down the line? Now, it is a very popular line. You will be able to notice, its rating isn't the best for high altitude, but it does still fly high altitude pretty darn well. Wasn't able to take advantage of it too much in this particular battle, but very often you're able to get up to above 8,000 feet, and you still have quite a bit of maneuverability up there to where you can be effective. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. Feel free to give it a thumbs up if you did, thumbs down if you didn't. I take the criticism. I think I'm up to like 80 videos now, but I'm still learning, right? So I appreciate the feedback, and otherwise I hope you have a great day.